people like you might pull up and see them doing it, and they started like giving them money because they thought it was cool, or they thought it was dangerous, and it is dangerous, and fair enough. But then one guy got the idea, maybe I'll open the jaws and show them the teeth, and they gave them more money. And so at that time they started relying on these tips for their sole money. And so they would resort to extreme tactics like sticking their head in the alligator's mouth, hoping for more money. And so those of us today that still do it, there are not very many of us that do this now, only a handful of us. And we don't rely solely on tips. Now we have a tip jar over here, and we still like tips. And if you guys want to show us that love, we appreciate that. But we don't rely solely on that. Go over to the mouth. A lot of people say that the tail is the most dangerous part of the animal. The tail is not the most dangerous part of the animal. Fair enough, I've been smacked by the tail plenty of times, and it does hurt, and it's not something I voluntarily do, but it is not the most dangerous part of that animal. His teeth, that's the most dangerous part of the animal. So right now, where he's got him is the safest place to have him at the moment, and he's going to try to get him out of the water here. Now guys, if I stop talking for a moment, it's because I'm paying a little bit of attention, because sometimes bad things do happen, and if it does, it is my job to try and help him out of it. You guys can't really do anything to help, so just keep taking pictures. All right. So he successfully, guys, at any time, if you enjoy what you're seeing, don't feel bad. Feel free to give him a round of applause, because this is not the most easiest thing to do. Now again, these sticks are not used to hit him with or to jab him really hard, but since you don't know this particular animal's personality, you reach in there with a stick instead of your hand, because if you're wrong the first couple of times around, the stick will heal faster than your fingers will. Buy from the grocery store that we think nothing about, but they couldn't find that stuff growing on trees out there, and so they would trade for it, or they would sell things to get money. Being a Miccosukee or Seminole Indian in South Florida in 1900, your job prospects was not that great. And so they would trade things and sell gator hides and the meat, sometimes deer meat, deer hide. That's where the term buck comes from. When you talk about 2 or 3 bucks, they was literally talking about buck deer. They would trade 2 or 3 of them for it. So, that's why they started going out and catching these alligators. Well, in the 1920s, animal exhibits started growing up everywhere, and they were buying these live alligators from these guys. And so that was one way they were making that money. But a couple of people that owned some of these places got the idea to hire them to come into their places, and they would charge people to come in and watch them catch the alligators by hand. And they would charge money for them to do it. Now, I've got to get in a spot now. If I start being real quiet, it's because he's about to do something that's going to put him in danger. And right now, he's in a spot that's very dangerous. He has to get a hold of those jaws, and this is probably the most dangerous part of his style of catching the alligator. But over time, as they were catching these alligators, they're pretty smart people, and they noticed that they would start getting tips from the people that were watching. 800 pounds an opening, if he wants it to be. Now you notice he closes the eye. That's because he's going to put his thumb around the side and get a hold of that top jaw. And he doesn't want the alligator to see him do it. The next thing he has to do is get around, and he doesn't want the alligator to see him do that either. And so he keeps the eyes closed. This is one of the ways that you have a little bit of an advantage. Now, I'm going to stop talking for just a moment here until he gets himself planted onto the back. Now, being on the back of the alligator, you're a little bit safer than where you are standing in front of it, but you're still not completely safe. As I said, you cannot completely outmuscle this alligator. I got this alligator. Go ahead, guys.
That's the scary part right there.
That is a scary thing to do, y'all. That's why I don't do it. Do one for you. It's just not going to be one dumb and sticking his head in
Or his hand.
You can see it from here.
He is going to take a loose portion of skin under the jaws as a handle, as kind of a handle, and he's going to open the mouth and show you those teeth. I'll get out of the way so you can take a photo if you like. Hey guys, there are 2,000 pounds per square inch of closing power. So if the alligator didn't want his mouth open, he wouldn't really be able to force it open, although he does have to coax it open the way he's doing. You can see he's using a little bit of strength there. There's 80 teeth, guys, 40 on the top, 40 on the bottom. They don't chew their food. They rip, tear, crush bones, they throw their head back and swallow a hole. They eat small things like birds, turtles, fish, snakes, small animals. See what he feels when he puts his head down there. Remember, he is feeling the body feeling the muscle. Now this alligator, this particular alligator, has some very snaggle teeth on the right side of it, so we have to be very careful because if the alligator starts to wiggle, you can imagine it might start cutting into his neck. Now once he gets a push out knot tied, the alligator might become and will become just a little bit safer. Now, he won't be able to bite you anymore, but they'll still be able to throw their head around in such a way if you get right next to him and he hits you in the shin, that head is skin-covered bone. There's no real muscle tissue in there to pad anything, so if that head makes contact with your shin, it may fracture your bone or break your leg, any of that. Even if it doesn't do that, I can tell you it really hurts. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Alright guys, this is how they learn. Everybody give this young lady a round of applause. And any of you young Mickasuki boys that want to learn this craft, talk to Joseph because we've been talking a little bit and he's very interested in learning and teaching some of the younger guys how to do this because guys, there are only a handful of us that do this anymore. I've been doing this for over 50 years and I'm getting tired. So we have to train some more guys to do this. So any of you young Mickasuki guys, talk to Joseph if you're interested. Because we're talking about doing some training.
I don't know how much room
Good job. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. I hope you learned a little bit of something about why it's being done or why it was ever done and how it evolved. Everybody give Joseph a round of applause.